Hi, it's such an honor to be speaking with both of you. Thank you so much for your incredible work. My first question is for both of you. You know, we're here today and we're learning about all kinds from fascinating people, policy experts, politicians, just across the gamut, scientists. Why did you guys choose stories? Like why, of all of the possible things that you could be working on, why stories? Why is it the power of story and storytelling what draws you?
Please.
I think stories have been with human as early as human civilization. And stories plays a very important role in indigenous communities and also many communities around the world. Stories teach our children not just for entertainment value, which they do have, but they teach us our moral and ethical values. There is knowledge about medicinal plants. There is stories about how to take care of our nature so that there's a balance between human and nature. Indigenous communities, wherever they lived, they maintain much better biodiversity. And we heard in this conference that more than 80% of the world's biodiversity are managed by indigenous people. There is a deep respect for nature, and that's why I have heard in many parts of the world, it is the Mother Earth, and that we need to take care of it because our existence, our future generations depends on it. So there is the moral, ethical value part, but also the stories teach perspective taking, like putting yourself in the shoes of others. And then these are important educational tool for children that has been told and retold by grandmothers and grandfathers for many, many generations. And they're highly engaging with students.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Kyle?
Yes, to everything you just said very powerfully. I think also it's the learning to read is learning to communicate. It is everything, honestly. It's academic success for a child. It's employability as they grow up. It allows them to engage in their communities, to raise and support their families. And it is essential to our economy as a nation. It also is essential to our democracy. To have full, expansive engagement requires a literate population.
Thank you. I'm going to follow up on that question. Sure. My partner is a teacher in Florida, and going back this year was very troubling for a number of reasons because a lot of books, including African American history, a number of other really important stories have been banned in the state of Florida. So I'm just wondering how should we navigate this moment in our country where our stories are in some ways our most important stories are being taken away from our children? Yeah. And how do we fix it?
I think I speak on behalf of both of us to say that it's an astounding moment in American history. None of us thought we would be discussing censorship and book bans, for heaven's sakes. I think there's a mistake in our narrative as a country. I think that when we talk about books that represent the full diversity of our country from a racial perspective, a cultural perspective, and every perspective, I think that there is a part of the narrative that these books are something special we're doing for people in those communities, for Black people, for Latino, and that's inaccurate. It's a false narrative. Any child who grows up without full exposure to the broadest array of cultures, no matter what zip code they are, no matter what their cultural background is, if they don't have that full exposure, they're going to be at a disadvantage in the world. And this should be pushing back on book bans, pushing back on censorship is for every child. It's not just for Black and brown children.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I may add to it, is that even with good intentions, I hear from colleagues and friends say, Mom, you guys are doing good job, and this is the benefit for your community. And I say this is a myopic view, because the knowledge about medicinal plants, the teaching about moral and ethical values, as well as how to take care of our climate, this is not just benefit to one community. In fact, I would argue this is a benefit for the whole country and to asset to our whole humanity. There is another part, which is that representation matters. So when I was sharing this, one of my colleagues from Namibia said, an African proverb, that until lions have their own historians, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. And with these storybooks, what we are doing is that we are lifting the stories of lions, or say lion-hearted children, so that their stories also, and everyone's story can be heard, and so that everyone can benefit from it. Thank you.
Ah, that's beautiful. I could sit here and talk to you guys about this all day. It's my favorite subject. But I guess just really quickly in our last couple of seconds, is there a story right now that you're really loving that we should check out?
Well, just in the green room, I was looking at my friends' storybooks, and I'm really loving those. They're in 5 languages, including English, so it was fabulous to see those, so bravo.
Amazing.
Yes, so one thing is that when I was growing up, my grandma tells me stories about some plants. It has a magical power. So it does have a medicinal value, but as a kid, we did not want to eat. So my grandma tells this story because this is a horse hoof leaf. The leaf shapes like a horse hoof, and the horse has a magical power to fly. And when I heard that story, I ate more vegetable. So this helps the children to also have respect for that medicinal plants. So there are many, many stories. We'll be happy to share more through our websites and plans. But I think that this is something that we say that one is the story, the other part is storytelling. So the way that indigenous people tell a story, the grandmas, when they tell a story, it is not a fixed thing. They adjust the story based on the children and their age. And they often ask questions. Okay, it's happened. If the prince says this happened, so what she will do? So it creates a lot of interaction. And she tells the story not to her grandchildren only. She tells the story to the children of the entire village. And I have seen some grandmas are more popular than the others.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for being here and sharing your stories. Let's give our...
Thank you.
And
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.